All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Allie Michaels, Allie Potter now, and I'm the Technology Advancement Manager with Launch Tennessee. If you're not already familiar with us, Launch Tennessee is a statewide organization working to make Tennessee the best state in the nation for startups through facilitating capital formation, market building, and resource connection through our network partners. And you can learn more at our website, launchtn.org, and I'll add that in the chat so you can check it out. Part of our work is hosting opportunities like this one to help companies be successful in their SBIR and STTR applications. I'm excited to introduce to you Dr. Eileen Chant, Outreach Program Manager for the Department of Energy, DOE SBIR STTR Program. She joined the team in 2020. She has over 25 years working as a mechanical engineer in diverse energy technology areas, encompassing startup assistance, commercial and industrial equipment consulting, and nonprofit industry associations. She's received her PhD in mechanical engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology. Dr. Chant will give an overview of the DOE SBIR and STTR program, including a review of upcoming funding opportunity announcements and resources available for both applicants and awardees. And there should be plenty of time for Q&A, so I hope you brought your questions. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the chat function, which you are free to use, as well as a Q&A section. Please use this Q&A feature instead of the chat to ask your questions so that Eileen can see them and respond. There's also the opportunity to upvote another person's question if you also want to hear the answer. And with that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Eileen and let her take it from here. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, everybody. As Allie introduced me, I'm Eileen Chant, and I'm excited to be here to talk to you about the Department of Energy's SBIR STTR programs. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And we can get started with the slideshow. Okay, going to the next slide. Just a quick overview of what the federal SBIR STTR program is. For those of you who are not aware, there are many agencies that have an SBIR STTR program. Any federal agency that is doing a certain amount of extramural R&D must contribute 3.2% of their extramural research funding to the SBIR program. For the larger agencies, they must also contribute 0.45% of their funding to the STTR program. These programs are mechanisms to fund early stage, high risk innovation ideas that are in small businesses. These are ideas that are very early. They are too high risk for the private sector, so it's a very good space for the federal government to operate. The initial entry point into the SBIR STTR program is going to be a feasibility evaluation. So you have an idea, you need some funds to conduct a feasibility evaluation. The SBIR program is something that you will want to consider. What's the difference between the SBIR and the STTR program? They have a lot in common. They are designed to stimulate technology innovation. They fund R&D at small businesses. Both programs we foster and encourage participation by women and socially and economically disadvantaged persons. And the objectives are to the end game of the SBIR STTR program is to produce a commercial product, something that can, and so that the small business can eventually turn to the private sector or a government agency and sell the product for which they develop. The STTR program requires a nonprofit research institution partner. So if you are applying for an STTR grant, you need to be working with a federal laboratory or a university research institution or some other nonprofit research institution. And there are some specific requirements about the amount of work that the nonprofit research institution can do versus the small business. But both of these grants, the small business is the awardee in both cases. The STTR program was initially designed to foster technology transfer. For example, a university that has some type of technology, the small business can do the work of commercializing the technology. But it's more flexible than that. The technology can reside with the small business, and the small business could maybe need some support from the research institution to carry out the research. As I indicated, there are multiple agencies. All of these agencies here on the screen have SBIR programs, and the largest 5 have STTR programs as well. So the Department of Energy is we are the 3rd largest program in the federal of the federal agencies. But as you can see, there's a lot of different SBIR programs out there. When you're thinking about what your R&D is and what type of technology you're working on, you kind of want to look at all of the agencies. We're not in competition with each other. You want to look and see where the good fit might be within the different agencies. So what does the DOE fund? Well, we fund topics that align with our mission. We fund very specific topics. Everybody probably knows that the DOE provides leadership in clean energy technologies. That's part of our mission. And to that end, our specific topics are in the area of cybersecurity, new electricity technologies such as grid development. We also fund a lot of topics in energy efficiency and renewable energy. So that would be wind, solar, geothermal, and that type of thing. We have fossil energy topics, how to make better use of our more efficient and cleaner use of our fossil energy technologies, and we have nuclear energy as well. Now, but what many don't know is that we also have additional missions which include leadership in basic science and engineering and the physical sciences. These are the offices here listed in blue that are associated with that aspect of our mission. And so these topics include advanced instrumentation, extreme scale computing, biological and environmental research. We might have monitoring projects in there or development of new crops, fusion energy, high energy physics, and nuclear physics. And finally, the third aspect of the DOE mission is enhancement of nuclear security, and we fund topics in the areas of nuclear nonproliferation and environmental management of the nuclear waste sites that reside around the nation. So how does our funding work? I already mentioned before, the entry point to our SBIR-STTR program is the phase 1 application. And this involves, it's a feasibility evaluation. If your small business is conducting R&D in an area that aligns with one of the DOE topics, you would be a good fit for our program. If you have the expertise to carry out the feasibility evaluation, or if you can assemble the right team to carry out the feasibility evaluation, you will be potentially a good fit with our program. We have 2 funding opportunity announcements per year. One is July. So next month, July 12th, we are going to have release funding topics. Those are going to be more aligned with the basic energy science area. So they're going to be a little bit more fundamental topics. And then in November, we have our second release, which is more the applied topics, such as the fossil energy, the Office of Electricity, the renewable energy topics. So July and November are when they come out. You do provide all intended applicants provide a letter of intent, which allows us to know what your proposal is going to look like and what technology you're proposing to work on. And we do provide feedback on the letters of intent. If your letter of intent is not non-responsive, which means that it's really not a good fit with our program, we will provide you with that information. So it's like a 500-page letter. So that gives you the opportunity to kind of get an early idea of, if your proposed topic might work for this program. The grants are a maximum of $200,000 or $250,000. Each office has a different maximum award amount. The phase 1 program lasts from 6 to 12 months, and we give out between the 2 funding cycles 350 to 400 awards per year. If your phase 1 program feasibility evaluation is successful, about 40 to 50% of applications move on to 1 or more phase 2 awards. And those awards are in the amount or max out at between 1.1 million and 1.6 million. And those studies typically are 2 years in duration. So you can see that the program can last a number of years as you work on your feasibility evaluation and then move to prototype and development of your commercialization plans. If you kind of hit your benchmarks and are successful in your as you move down the road, you have a number of years with this funding before you need to move into out of the SBIR program and into other areas of funding, such as private equity, commercialization funding, or something like that. Okay, so as I said, July, we have these offices will release their topics. As I indicated before, these are going to be more about the basic energy sciences, environmental research. There's instrumentation and environmental monitoring types of technologies. And there's advanced computing topics as well as the nuclear physics technology, which has a lot of accelerator type of topics. And then in November, here are the, I guess it's about 8 offices that release topics, and they are, more applied, more about applied energy systems and new energy technologies. This is, if you go to our funding opportunity announcement page, the link is shown at the bottom of this page and is also going to be typed into the chat box during the course of this webinar. You see that we have our schedule. Again, July 12th, the topics will be released. If you go to this page, the document link will show up here in this empty rectangle right here. We have a webinar right a week after the topics are released, where the program, the technical program or topic managers are on the phone and you can ask them questions about the topics. We issue then our funding opportunity announcement on August 9th. Again, you can access the document through this box here. We'll populate by then. And then we move into a FOA webinar where we talk about the application process, and then the letters of intent, with the applications being due on October 12th. So this is a very important page that you will visit and will help you keep track of the timeline for application submission as you move through the application process. In order to reduce barriers to our somewhat complex application process, the application is a lot of work, it's true. And if you haven't done it before, if you have never applied for a DOE SBIR STTR grant, you can have applied for other agency grants. But if you've never applied within our program, there is a phase 0 application assistance program, which we highly encourage you to take advantage of. You do receive one-on-one coaching throughout the process for submitting your application, everything from the registration process to your letter of intent to your proposal, and even commercialization plan assistance as well too. So it's first come, first serve. The program does fill up. So we encourage you early on, if you decide you're going to submit an application and you are a first-time applicant, to go ahead and apply for the Phase 0 program. We have a topic and FOA webinar for which you can log on, ask questions. If you're not in the Phase 0 program, you could take advantage of our online learning center. It has a lot of videos and PowerPoints for different parts of the process, of the application process. Are you interested in exploring the DOE National Lab collaboration opportunities? Maybe you're interested, you have technologies that you're interested in, and you're wondering if there's any way to collaborate with the labs and find out what type of technologies they have as well. You can go to this link here and take a look, and there are contacts, people you can reach out to ask questions and maybe build a collaborative type of team for your proposal. We also offer an Q&A webinar, and it's about 5 or 6 times through the funding opportunity announcements, which is about 3 months from the time the topics are announced until the application is due. We have a webinar. You can just jump on and you can ask us questions. We have people in our office that are application experts are on the line, and they can answer your questions about the application. You can email us at any time and ask us questions about our program and the application process. And we do pride ourselves on answering all emails, and most of them, the vast majority of them, we answer within 24 hours. If the question is a little bit more complex, then we might take a little bit longer. There might be some internal discussion before we answer the question, but we will answer your questions. Now, if you want to know about all the stuff and get emails about announcing the webinars, the Phase 0 program, etc., please go to this link and join our mailing list. Oops. And these announcements will show up in your email inbox. And you can also follow us on Twitter as well. Again, this is a slide on the Phase 0 process. First timers are eligible. The application is, there's not really a real application process. That's the good news. You fill out a form that has just sort of your name, your company name, and a couple of fields. That's it. And then you will be, the contractor that runs our Phase 0 program is Dawnbreaker, and they will reach out to you. And you'll get on the phone, and then you will need to talk about what your study, what you're proposing, what your research is, what your background is, and that type of thing. And so they will decide if you are a good fit with the application process and make a determination about whether you are going to be a participant in the Phase 0 program. But there is, the one thing I want to emphasize, there's not a lengthy application process for Phase 0. It's really just a web form, and then you get, the contractor will reach out to you and you'll have a discussion. The application portal for Phase 0 is opens on the same day that the topics are released. And this is just a little roadmap of the Phase 0 application program, all the different support that you receive along the way. They help with the letters of intent. There are 5 online registrations that must be completed by the time you submit your application, and they can help walk you through those systems and make sure that's not going to cause a problem. You don't want your online registrations to be the reason you didn't submit your proposal. They help with the proposal preparation. There's a little bit of market research and commercial plan development required as part of the Phase 1 application. Now, the Phase 1 application, as I've indicated, is more of a feasibility review. So there's not a lot. We don't expect you to be really well along the way with your commercialization plan, but there is a short section of that on the proposal, and they have market research experts on their roles. They are also experts in our application process. And they provide a review of the proposal, and then they will also provide some of these optional services that are here as well too. And you can find more about this program on the Dawnbreaker site. This is what the topics document looks like. It has a specific section. The topic is 25, carbon capture. The subtopic would be 25A. There's a lot of important information here. For the phase 1 award amount, maximum amount is $250,000. If you were to submit an application, don't make your award request more than $250,000 because you will be declined, even if your proposal is, fabulous. It also tells you if they're accepting SBIR applications, and are they also accepting STTR phase 1 applications, because not every topic is necessarily accepting the STTR applications. And then there's a description of the topic. You are able to reach out and email the topic manager. We encourage you to reach out and talk and ask questions to the topic managers, well thought out, researched questions. In many cases, you will hear back from them. So there's a varying degree of responsiveness from the technical topic managers, but we do encourage you to reach out and try to talk to them. And you can do that from the moment the topics are released until the day the applications are due. You are able to reach out to the topic managers. But it is expected that you are going to be an expert in your field and you're going to be knowledgeable about the state-of-the-art technology in your field. Make sure you read this carefully and make sure you read all the references as well and are familiar with the references that are cited in the topics document. Just to give you a preview of what type of programs are available for awardees. So I went through all of the application assistance programs, but I want to just at least point out that we also have a lot of awardee assistance programs as well too. We have a commercialization assistance program. We call it the CAP. For phase 1, you can have up to $6,500 worth of assistance in developing a commercialization plan for your product. And for phase 2, you receive up to $50,000 in assistance in developing your commercialization plan, because the phase 2 program is more focused on commercialization. And you can pick your own vendor and spend these funds with your own commercialization vendor, or we have a vendor in Florida, and you can use them too as well to conduct, to provide your CAP program assistance. So that's up to you. Application, just a bit about the application review process. There are 3 technical reviews, and then there's we bring in a market expert to review the phase 2 commercialization plan, but that's not part of the phase 1 application process. The most important 3 aspects of your proposal: number 1, the strength of the scientific technical approach. Is the team able to execute the plan that's proposed? And does the idea have the potential to have a large impact, a large commercial impact in the technology area? So the applications are then scored and ranked. And we, as I indicated, we are funding about 200 proposals with each cycle. So the most highly ranked applications are awarded. So we rank them all. And sometimes we have some applications that are well regarded, but they're ranked, and only the most highly ranked applications are awarded based on available funding. So the cutoff is based on the available funding. Anyway, just to kind of wrap things up, I just wanted to emphasize we have many support programs. It's not just a funding, it's not just an SBIR, STTR grant program. We have a lot of other programs which are designed to reduce barriers. We welcome applications from underrepresented groups. Those would include women-owned small businesses, socially and economically disadvantaged businesses, and underrepresented states and applications from hub zones and first-time applicants. And Tennessee is an underrepresented state. There are 25 underrepresented states. Tennessee is one of them. We do encourage applications from the underrepresented groups. And here is my last slide. Again, all this information is going to go into the chat box. So please feel free to reach out to me. Check out the Dawnbreaker site and our SBIR learning site. Go to the funding opportunity page to look at the topics when they come out, and join our mailing list so you'll stay on top of all this information. Okay, with that said, I am now switching over to Q&A. Okay, how does a company know? First question, how does a company know it is ready to apply? Is it a certain stage they should be at before even considering DOE SBIR STTR? So I think I tried to address that. It's a good question. I tried to address that in my presentation. This is a feasibility study, so you don't have to be at a certain stage. It's an idea. You can just be an idea at this point, but you do have to have the ability to develop a work plan to demonstrate feasibility of your idea, and it does have to be aligned with the DOE topics. So those are the criteria for which you should consider embarking on the process to become a Phase 1 awardee. Do you suggest reaching out to a program manager before submitting? Are there any blackout periods where you cannot communicate with DOE staff? We highly recommend that you reach out to a technical program manager if you have questions. Now, you ask them questions, you ask them technical questions. You can ask questions about the application process to our office, and you ask technical questions about the technology to the technical topic managers. And we encourage you to do so. As I mentioned before, they have a lot of other forks in the fire. Some of them are very busy. Some of them are very responsive. Some of them maybe less so. So there is a varying degree of responsiveness, but it doesn't hurt to reach out and ask questions, and we encourage you to do that. And there's no blackout periods during the application process. From the day the topics are released until the application is submitted, you can ask them questions. Is it common for companies to partner with labs for their projects? Okay, I did show on my screen a slide that we have on our homepage. You can navigate to the applicant resources page, and there's a link, and it talks about the work the national labs are doing, what type of technologies they're developing, and there's contact information as well too, that you can reach out to those people and start a conversation about a partnering relationship. If a company submitted in the past and was not funded, does it hurt that company's changes? It does not hurt your ability to get a grant down the road. If you had comments from the reviewers, you should do your best to address them if you're submitting a similar application or application around the same technology. It's not factored in at all, whether you previously submitted an application or not. And let me tell you that repeat applicants are more successful. First-time applicants have a slightly lower acceptance rate, award rate than repeat applicants, and that's because the repeat applicants are pretty good at developing applications and submitting applications. So we encourage you to try again, because the first application is going to be so much work. And if you really think that you are a good fit and have a reasonable chance of being successful, or should be successful, if you're confident that you should be successful, rather, I would encourage you to resubmit your application and addressing anything that the information the reviewers provided you. You do receive reviewers' comments. Okay, the funding topics are on our funding opportunities page. I haven't looked at the chat box, but I assume the funding opportunities page, we could put the funding opportunities page in the chat box, or you can go to this SBIR. This is our home page here, this mailing list. So you go to the home page and then you click on the funding opportunities link and you're there. On July 12th, fiscal year 22 topics will show up. So I would go to the website on July 12th and look at those topics. One thing you can do now is you could go look at our fiscal year 21 topics. And because you can see those topics documents are posted. The funding cycles are closed at this point, but you can see the types of things that the types of topics we're interested in. They're not going to be exactly the same. They change from one funding cycle to the next. So, but they don't necessarily dramatically change. Some topics will stay the same. Some will shift a little. Some might disappear completely. And then there might be new topics as well. But you can go look now and see what's there and get an idea of the kinds of things we fund. Hopefully that helps. Can you say more about what type of assistance the CAP offers? So I'm not, let's see, let me go back. I can probably go back because I did have a slide there on that program. So just to go over the CAP again, you can select your own vendor or you can use our vendor. If you use our vendor, you don't need to do anything with respect to your application. You just can enroll once you're an awardee. If you're going to use your own vendor, you actually have to put for phase one the $6,500 in your application as part of your budget. Now it's above. If the maximum limit for the award was $200,000, then you're going to submit and you're going to use your own vendor. Then you can submit an application for up to $2,600, if that makes sense. So it's flexible. You use your own. You can use LARDA. These are the amounts of the assistance you can use. A much bigger number for phase two because you need to start working on that commercialization plan and moving your prototype into the marketplace, or a few years down the road at least. So phase one, assistance with development of a compelling market relevant commercialization plan. Phase two, the services get more detailed. Market research, segmentation of the market. What are the regulatory issues? You get assistance with intellectual property, such as patenting, and that type of thing. They will help you develop a pitch deck so that you can sell your technology for your customers and more. So hopefully that's a good overview of our CAP. I don't run the CAP program. There's a woman in our office, Claudia Cantoni, who runs the CAP program. But you can, if you have more specific questions, just send us an email and we can answer them for you. We are talking, next question, we are talking with several universities to attract a PI. Is there another way to go about finding a PhD interested in working on a project? If you're talking about through our office, we don't really do anything like that. So I guess unfortunately, I'm not sure off the top of my head how to answer that question. We're generally not in the business of too much assistance with respect to formulating teams, but we are, we do want to help connect our applicants with the national labs because they're part of the Department of Energy. It's possible you could reach out to the national labs, use the national labs collaboration site and look for some contacts in that area and talk to them. And also every national lab has what's called a Technology Transition Officer, TTO, and you could reach out to the TTOs also and say, hey, can you help us with this? Now, one of the requirements of our program is that the PI does need to be an employee of the small business. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're submitting an SBIR application, the PI needs to be an employee of the small business. But if you're submitting an STTR application, the PI could be an employee of the nonprofit research institution or of the small businesses. So that might help you going down the road. So hopefully I gave you some useful suggestions there. Okay, so is there anything else that people would, I think I've answered all the questions. Is there anything else that people would like to, okay, wait, I see some more questions here. You mentioned teams. Is there a recommended minimum team size? Having a smaller team negatively impact funding chances? So with regard to teams, no, there's no optimal size of the team. You just need to make sure that you can effectively carry out what you're proposing to do and that you have the right expertise on your team to carry out the research. And you don't really want to include in your application a lot of detail about the smaller players on your team. We really want to just know about the key personnel, the people that are going to make the project happen. And so there is no size at all requirements, small or big. Just want to be able to include, formulate a team that is, capable of carrying out what is proposed. Do you suggest reaching out to a program manager before? Oh, I answered that question already. Which email shall we use for Phase 0 assistance? You can send me an email if you have, Eileen Chant at science.doe.gov. I will direct you to the site, or you could just go directly from our site to the application assistance page to the Phase 0 program. On July 12th, you can apply to be part of the Phase 0 program. But if you want to send me an email, I'll just send you a link to that page as well too. So either way.
All right. It looks like we got through all of the Q&A that was on the side. If others have questions, feel free to keep them coming. But we have included a lot of the links that Eileen has been mentioning in the chat, so hopefully you were able to grab those. If not, I will send a follow-up email to all the attendees with those links and Eileen's email as well included in case you do have follow-up questions. But other than that, I think everything on here has been answered. A lot of it about really those specific links, so that's super valuable. Anything we missed, Eileen, that you want to wrap up with?
No. No, just thank you everybody for attending. I hope I was helpful, and I hope that some of you are getting like a little excited about our program. So again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And I learned a lot. I hope the audience learned a lot. And we'll mark our calendars for July 12th for that first topic announcement.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.